This used to be a fortress city, very highly fortified. As you can see here, there's the strong broker.
Und Rudi, wie er von allen nur genannt wird, ist als Vereinsvorsitzender gekickt, der das zusammenhält.
This would have been the
Zunächst ist
main
das Haus
entrance
mittlerweile zweifelsohne.
into the city.
Den Sommernächten oder beim erstmals im vergangenen Jahr dort durchgeführten Spektakel um Magdeburgense. Die Magdeburger strömten zu Tausenden in das jahrelang vergessene Ravelin. Erstaunt sind die meisten, wenn sie die Kehl
This is closer to the lake nearby.
oder die Portane das erste Mal sehen und bis dahin gar nicht wussten, dass es sie dort gibt, geschweige denn, dass diese
Normal life is happening here with horses carrying carriages.
Schutt, Ruß, Müll bestimmten das Bild. Dass alles heute verschwunden ist, ist auch Rüdiger Stefanis Verdienst.
This would have been the outskirts,
Wir wollen etwas tun, erklärte er damals.
the area of the outskirts.
Im Februar 2015 wurde sein Traum, an der seiner Mitstreiter war,
So we are talking about the 19th century to early 18th century, well before the big European wars. You can see they have the tram lines. Pretty amazing.
Eine dauerhafte Ausstellung zur Festungsgeschichte soll einmal in Ravelin eingerichtet werden, so der Wunsch seiner Ritter. Einen ersten Vorgeschmack gab es bei der jüngsten Adventsvorstellung.
So these look like trains that might have been serving the security personnel. This is a much bigger extrapolation of the entire landscape. I could zoom out a little. Pretty amazing. These are warriors, but it also seemed to include English-looking generals. This white one with a white turban looks like a fighter from the Mughal dynasty, I would say. These on the right side, that would be your left side, look something close to Turkish soldiers. These are obvious European soldiers. These two are the fronts, perhaps German or Spanish. And so many more
Freude
here.
war beim Sanierungsverein Ravelin 2 am Freitagnachmittag besonders groß. In den vergangenen 5 Jahren haben sie mit viel ehrenamtlicher Arbeit die Festungsanlage wieder hergerichtet und für die Fortführung ihrer Arbeit haben sie nun sogar Fördergelder in Millionenhöhe bekommen. Der Kulturminister Rainer Hopra übergab dafür einen Bescheid an den Oberbürgermeister Lutz Trümper, der ihn stellvertretend entgegennahm. Die 2,43 Millionen Euro vom Land ergänzte die Stadt dann noch mit weiteren 600.000 Euro, sodass dem Verein nun gut 3 Millionen Euro für Sanierungsarbeiten zur Verfügung stehen.
These are pretty much regular looking water bottles in glass and in earthenware. I'm not sure which particular one. And something that looks like a pipe. But I would be hard pressed to think this one was from the. I mean, looks anything different from the water bottles we have today. And check this out. That's a warrior's helmet. I can imagine. Well, this looks like it could actually protect the soldier's head from bullets and spears, but it also looks a bit heavy. Probably one of the reasons that the Turkish army never really used heavy armor and, until pretty much later in their history. Anyway, let's go out and see what else we can find. Some brochures here. All of them as well, very trick. Okay. So these are aerial views. Let's see what's in here. So there's a chronology from the 16th century, 17th. What could this be? This is from 1658. Seem to have some spiritual significance. Perhaps no, because the paintings are of naked women. What do we have here? Some more guns. A hat. Some grenades, I believe. Sicher Leben am Fluss. Okay, there's Duisburg, there's Paderborn. We are here in Magdeburg. There's Cologne here. There's Mainz. Then there's France, Paris here. Then across the channel, you move into England. Unfortunately, the lighting here isn't perfect, but Klein Kugel, so that's a Kugel. Some swords. what we call Takwabe in Dagbanle. I have to return each moose wieder. It's a full-size, young-looking soldier with all of his accoutrements intact. Helmets, metallic. Sword, the body armor. I wonder what these are. But yeah, you can see European soldiers are very much into heavy armor and heavy helmets, which really did, could protect one against bullets and knife cuts, but also has the downside of slowing them down. And so if you remember your history lessons, the Crusaders, when they went into Jerusalem, amongst the reasons, there were many reasons, but amongst the reasons that they couldn't survive was the fact that the Muslim army around that time were more, agile. They could maneuver very easily and very fast because they weren't so much into heavy armor. So before the Crusader could swing their knife, they could get encircled 2 times or 3 times. And have their head chopped off before their knife would settle back down. This looks like a sword. Sorry, a spear, not a sword. A spear, but with a sword at the top. More like holding it and then, piercing someone from afar. King Gustav II. Okay, some more spears. Okay. I think I've seen these things in the movies before. I don't know what they are called. But this looks like the armor that King Gustav II Adolf wore or owned. Yeah, pretty impressive. It is actually the spears look very terrifying and much more longer than I would have imagined if I were asked to describe what a spear from the 16th century, 17th century would look like. And of course, they have the drums, the war drums, and then the flag for whoever was the flag bearer of the army. Okay, let's look elsewhere and see what we can find. Some more miniature humans sitting on horses, soldiers holding guns going into battle. Okay. So this looks like a battle that was taking place in 1631, 1630. This is Magdeburg. Interesting. So this is where we came out from. Right behind me, you can see a castle, and then you walk a few kilometers away from them, and then you start at this gate. So that is the outside entrance. We are now heading further into the center of the main gate. Okay, there's a barrier here, we can't enter, but we could at least zoom in a little and see what is going on with the people. Okay, these look like renditions of past lives of people from that century. First, there is a young man, probably, no, sorry, a little girl, 3 years, 4 years, I believe, with their miniature toy house with all of the things that you would need for living. This is a pretty common play tool in Germany, that kids have these miniature houses with a kitchen and a bed and all the things that we usually have in our houses, and then they play with them. These are bags, I believe, of people. So this would typically be how a family would live. Space wasn't too much available for the average people, so they would tend to have a fireplace in the main, what we would call today a sitting room, and a kitchen at the same time. And there's someone sleeping on the bed, another person possibly just coming from outside, and the kids having dinner, whatever it is that they are eating. Okay, this should give you a picture of what a typical living space from the 16th, 17th century average German would look like. can see a horse toy at the background and a much bigger suitcase-like bag at the top over there. But it's also pretty stunning that they actually kept everything neatly organized and arranged. And of course, they always made sure that they had enough wood to last for the winter. Okay. European flag, cannon. Okay. So they used to transport these cannons to the battlefields via the Elbe River. These are ceramics. And a big nice cannon. The wheels were always metal. I think the idea of rubber wheels came so much more later, but they were always metal. So people never had to worry about pulling them across rough terrains. And there is a pistol here. And then they would always, so you'd always find these turrets where the cannons would be pointed at. So these are cannons, I think these are cannons that were pointed in the direction outside of this window that is now covered with glass. And they would have people watching and just waiting to see if there's anything abnormal or unusual happening outside. Then they can fire at it to deter it. Then you would see, I don't know what they're called, but the balls themselves. Oh my! Can't believe how heavy they are. Very heavy. More than 10 kilograms each. This looks like a boat, a raft, a farmer's raft that is carrying some important treasure, maybe. It's a pretty historical museum, but it's also very quiet. But I understand they have a festival in like 2 hours, so I need to make sure that I film everything before the festival begins. These are axes. So this would be a regular axe that you could swing, like the Vikings would swing these axes. And then Um, There's another kind of an axe. I'm not sure what use case for which one would need that. Okay, look, these are the rafts carrying people. International International Youth Camp 2024, Internationalist Jugend Camp 2034. Okay. So it's a bit brighter now. This is where we came out from. As you can see, very long entrance. And then there's a main gate. Okay, this is a uniform.
Ravelin 2 ist auf jeden Fall ein Besuch wert. Man kann viel über die Stadtgeschichte Magdeburgs lernen.
Some seals. So this looks like a military family. That's a water bottle. And some more helmets. All right, folks, I'm running out of battery, so I'll stop the video here and maybe come back some other time to shoot the other part. So if you are watching, this used to be the main fortress of Magdeburg, and after the war, part of it got really damaged. Subsequently, the city needed to expand, so they broke off a major part of the wall to make way. So this was what it looked like before. It was broke off, and then this is a more recent map of what Magdeburg looks like from 1880. So you can see how high the walls would have been. Hopefully you can, but it's a bit dark here. Tschüss.
Ciao.
Okay, so we are now walking outside. I'm not sure what this machine is. It's two. These are still parts of the old wall. These look like prisons. Yeah, definitely prisons. Tinier ones, larger ones. And you can see this medieval thing. I don't know what it's called, but they would typically have someone put their head in there, and then they would lower this, and someone would likely be standing here, so they have the head protruding through here. Maybe that way rather, because it will be much easier just imagining it. Then they can have someone chop their head off. So the sight of this, just bringing it out, might have been very terrifying for the prisoners who would likely have been in that building. But it actually says Krankensluber, which rather has something to do with health. So maybe sick chamber or something. I'm not sure. But anyway, they could have dual purposes. Okay, so that's it, folks. I'm now heading out of the Glacis Park in Magdeburg. And let's see how much more battery I have left until the video ends. Otherwise, feel free to stay behind and walk with me back. I plan to go about 3 kilometers on foot because I need to accomplish my 10,000 daily steps goal. So you're welcome to keep walking with me if you want to stay. If you are lucky enough and my battery doesn't die, you might get to see some nice greeneries around here. Not sure what they are trying to accomplish here. Okay. So this park is actually going to be very, very crowded as the summer begins. I expect picnics, barbecues, and just families and people gathering here. It's actually free to come and set up a picnic here. Maybe even bring a Bluetooth speaker for a small party. Of course, there are volume restrictions. I think it shouldn't go beyond some maybe 100 decibels or something. I'm not sure. But obviously there are regulations pertaining to the noise that you can make in this park. But I like it. It's pretty quiet at this time. Let's just take that route. See where that gets us. So they have a garden house. You can probably hear some people having a party in the background. Some people are occupying the benches. Some just come to sit under the tree and enjoy the breeze, the quiet, the chirping of the birds, the smell of the sand and the grass. So I'm now headed toward, I'm trying to figure out how to get back on the Halberstädter Straße. That's the main road. Well, not the main road, but probably the oldest major road passing through the Studenberg area of Magdeburg. This can get us there. Okay, this goes towards Halberstadt, but I need to get to the other side. So let's use this way and cross over. Oh, Flixbus. Hello. So the main one of the train stations is very close by. So you can hear the trains moving toward the Magdeburg Hauptbahnhof. So if you are coming to this park and you want a quieter place without the sound of modern machinery, you would have to go to the western part of the park. if you come towards the eastern side, the roads and the trains might disrupt your the pace that you came here to enjoy. So as you can see, there's the Deutsche Bahn just ahead of us, cutting through the middle of the park. That's the IC train. So these are the very fast trains. Well, in German terms, these are the fastest trains that exist here in Germany. Nowhere close to the high-speed trains we see in China. But I think I've hit a deadlock. I hit a dead end. I need to go back. Oh no. I need to go and use the other side. So this is a free parking spot for buses. Alles gut beginnt mit so you can see the cherry blossoms are becoming more vibrant this time of the year. Okay. So the croaking sound of the bird in the background just reminds me of my childhood, growing up in Disonayili, when it was still lush with vegetation all the way towards Kamina, Noribi village, Kamina. Would go into the woods and just, you know, I mean, we didn't appreciate it much back then. But the nature that's in many parts of the world, people in the interest of so-called modernization, they try to get rid of just to put up buildings to show that to signify that they are modernizing, but there has to be a balance. You can't cut all of the trees and the woods to make way for tall buildings, else you would end up without parks like these that people can go in and just, you know, like they say in French, charmer la nature, just going in to enjoy the nature. It's a very sad situation. We missed these opportunities to take control of our environment. parks in the woods that people could cycle and just come out and exercise, listen to the birds, see an occasional raccoon. These are very important for the nourishment of the soul. Okay, I think I am beginning to find my way back to the Halberstädter Straße. Maybe this way rather. And
Split 1. Split pace. 14 minutes, 12 seconds per kilometer.
all right, Apple Watch. Thanks for the reminder. So as you can imagine, in a very busy city, you take a slight turn into a park to get away from all of the chaos and the buzz of the city center. And this should be doable. These parks need to be incorporated within the city, not very far away that no one can access. So I like it. I come here quite often. Slightly heading straight onto the Halberstädter Straße. So according to legend, do they still say that? according to the stories, when Napoleon was around, this street is actually the longest street in the Zuidenberg area, and he commissioned it. I mean, there was probably a dead road, but he made sure that it was turned into a major road that cuts through the city almost halfway. And on either side of the city, they started planning the city into great. And those planning of the roads and the housing is still the same layout we see today. 300 years, 200, 300 years ago. So this is a local government building. You might have noticed that there are not a lot of high-rise buildings. And if there are high-rise buildings, they usually don't pass 5 levels. I don't know if it's a rule. Perhaps the higher the building, the more taxes you pay on it. Whatever. I'm not entirely sure. Okay. We need to respect the traffic lights. Whilst we do that, you can appreciate some gardens around this building. So I'm still walking. I need to walk about an hour, and then I walk an hour and a half back. I would have had about 12,000 steps for today. On a weekend, I really enjoy just walking